All right. Welcome to today's stream, everybody. I hope you can see and hear me pretty well. My name is Max Anderson, and I'm a developer advocate here at Neo4j. I'm standing in today for Alexander, who is out sick today. Today, we're gonna be talking about something called SchemaSmith, and we have a guest called Donovan Bergen, who's gonna tell you more about that. So, welcome, Donovan.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Donovan Bergen. I work for JB Hunt Transportation, and we're a transportation logistics provider. We do a lot of trucking across the United States. We do some international stuff, and so we got a big need to track a lot of interconnected things. You start thinking about routes, equipment, sensor data. All this stuff is really great to put into a graph. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about part of our journey and one of the tooling sets that we're using to kind of help us manage our schema optional schemas, right? And so that's what I'll be talking about today. So if we're ready to get going, we can get going. But if you got some questions, that's fine too.
No, I'm pretty excited to hear more about what it is your guys are working on, and kind of see how these tools are interconnected. So, I mean, if you share your screen, I can put it up on the stream, and we will get going.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll go ahead and share the screen. Hopefully, I'll guess the right one.
I can tell the audience while we're waiting that we also have this Spring Data training event. You can see the link down in the description. I also put the link in the comments for anyone that's interested. And you can join there if you're interested to know more about working with Neo4j and Spring Data.
Yes. So unfortunately, my browser has lost the permission. Chrome has lost permission to share screen.
Always the technical issues, right?
I've never had a talk or a conference that didn't have at least some type of technical issue. So what that means is I've got to restart my browser, which means I'm going to disappear for a second. I will be right back.
All right.
I'm coming back.
All right. Perfect.
All right. See you guys in just a second.
Awesome. I'll break the stream for a couple of seconds, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right, we're back. So
that was fun.
And we got the screen going as well.
All right,
Nothing
good.
is better than a little bit of technical issue like this.
That's true. The
Yeah.
last conference I was at, the all the presentation material broke, and I just had to wing it on stage for an hour. It was great.
Have you ever been to one of those where Siri will pitch in their thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, those are always good. Always
Yeah.
work, especially here. I've got all my Mac stuff running, so we'll see how that goes.
Perfect.
Um,
All right, I'll let you have the floor, and
all right.
good luck.
Excellent. So I know we don't have like a ton of time to get through all the stuff I want to get through today. So what I've done is we've actually talked about this at the Graph Connect conference. So I'm going to give kind of a trimmed down version of the deck here to give you some context for why I built SchemaSmith and what kind of problems it solves. And then what we're actually going to do is we're going to start from nothing, no database, no repo, and we're actually going to use this tools chain in order to build ourselves out a schema, apply it to a database, and manage all of that through GitHub Actions. So it's going to be pretty exciting, but I've been timing myself. I think we've got enough time, but sometimes things don't go well. The other day, GitHub took an hour to complete Git Actions between like 9 and 10. So hopefully that's not happening today. All right. That being said, let's just get right into it. So at JB Hunt, like I said, transportation, graphy stuff, it's all good things. And so JB Hunt Transportation, we have a mission statement, creating the most efficient transportation network in North America. So already we're thinking graphs, right? Sustainability vision, we want to move the freight industry forward towards a low carbon future while still meeting all of the interests of our employees, our customers, our carriers, our investors, in the world in which we live. And where I work at JB Hunt is part of the visibility, which is answering the question of where's my stuff, where is it going, and like when is it going to get there. So visibility is actually a pretty big challenge across most of the transportation logistics industry. Telemetry coming from the vehicles can be spotty. They're going through a lot of different areas throughout the world, or in our section of the world. And it's really important for us to be able to surface and answer those questions that I previously talked about to our customers, because they want to know, hey, where's my beer going? Where are my phones going? Where's my truck full of whatever going? And where is it right now? Is it going to be on time? Is it going to be late? You've got people who are waiting to receive that shipment, and they're trying to manage their shift workers of when they need to come in and when they need to load and unload all the stuff that we're sending and receiving. So a lot of the data that we actually work with, we pull in a lot of telemetry data. What are we tracking? We're tracking stuff like the truck's location, the temperature of a temperature controlled unit, the trailer position, the truck position, whether it's loaded. And there's all sorts of information that we have that we can pull in and bring into our graph. And so that's all great, but weren't we going to talk about infrastructure as code, right? So slimming down the slides quite a bit here, we're going to jump a little bit ahead, because when you're trying to provide that level of visibility to your customers, you need to ensure that you can very predictably query your own data sets, right? So you do want some control over whatever database you happen to be using. In our case, we're using Neo4j for our equipment. And what happens is, if you've been working with Neo4j at enterprise level or something like that, you have different levels of access, right? You've got you can have read access, where you can look at stuff on your graph. You've got write, where you can create nodes and relationships, but only if they've already existed before. And then you have publish, which can create new things that haven't yet existed in your graph. And you've got admin, which kind of does whatever you want, right? So that actually creates a little bit of a challenge if you're working in an event-driven structure and you're trying to deploy across different environments. So our first take was to give our applications publisher access, because when we deploy our applications into prod, there's no data in prod until the data starts flowing through the application. And if there's no nodes and relationships, it needs to be able to write those. And so it needs publish access. So I'll walk you through a little bit of a problem that we ended up having. And let's say we're going to abstract everything away. I'm going to do everything in Pokemon because it's kind of my home base and I don't have to show code that legal would not be happy with me showing. So let's say I'm reviewing a pull request and we've got a listener that's subscribing to Kafka events, and we're either using the sync, the Neo4j sync connector, we're using a background worker or something of that nature, and it's capturing events that are coming in for said Pokemon. And it's going to go ahead and try to create a node in the database and set that all up. So I've got one app that's doing that. I'm looking at this pull request, looks pretty good. Provides a lot of information about the Pokemon, its combat power, its value rating, health points, stat hack, blah, 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 blah. Now we've got another app. Maybe this one's listening. Maybe the other one's like an audit app where someone can go in and manually enter something and change it, right? And so we're going to take user input and allow that to kind of also update our graph. So that other app has its own query, and we're looking pretty good. It's updating all the same stuff. Rubber stamp, approve that. Come Monday morning, app A is writing individual values ratings, and app B is writing individual values ratings. So one of the tricky parts is that if you have publish access, you can create properties and labels freely, right? So the only thing that was stopping us from shooting ourselves in the foot and not being able to actually search our entire data set by a value that we misspelled was those pull requests that may have included hundreds of lines of other code, right? And now I'm in a state where I can't properly query my graph. I've got to go open up change requests. I've got to talk to the DBAs. We got to update everything. We have to re-release the app with the right spelling, all because we were on publisher. And then we said, well, this is kind of frustrating for us. If our applications could have editor access, then they couldn't create new things. We could say our nodes, our Pokemon nodes, should all have individual values rating properties, but there should be no values. And if I've got editor access, I'll actually pull back an error that says, hey, you can't create that. It's a new thing. But that leads to another issue, and that is that my app needs to run as editor so it doesn't create junk data, but my app needs to run as publisher to initialize entities, because the only other way is perhaps I've got a dev or lab environment, right? And in that environment, maybe I can pull up APOC meta schema and then see what things are new that I think I'm adding, and then try to create a CR and copy pasta what I think should be the script, and then have the DBAs run it, have that script actually be different than what my app is running. And it gets kind of complicated quick. There's a lot of manual process. And so
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So what is CR in this context?
Sorry, change request. So
change request. All right. Yeah.
When you guys work in a big company and they're like, you got to change something in prod, you're going to have to do a change request. You're going to have to get approval A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. And if you mess it up, you got to do it all over again.
All right. So change request for the schema, and you just, you're trying to manage that over the team and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that got a little bit difficult. So enter demo time. Okay. We're done with slides. Let's go ahead and get out of this and do some demoing. All right. So as I restarted Chrome, I had some really great tabs pulled up, but we're just going to re-navigate to them. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, if we can start from nothing and get to a system that can help us manage this a little bit better, and provide us some protections and help us deploy to different environments, different guards and things of that nature, using the SchemaSmith tool set and GitHub. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to log into Neo4j by searching for it. Doop, doop, doop. All right. Let's start this for free.
Free is always better, right?
Yeah. Now, because we're starting it for free, there are some limitations. So there's some type of constraints we won't be able to create. And basically everybody is just, there's only one user and you can create anything you want. But we're still going to run with free because we're not going to pay for anything. And the tool should still do what it needs to do.
Right.
So that being said, I'm going to go. Did you have a question, Max?
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Great. We're going to fire up an empty instance and we are going to confirm. I will copy this password and download the connection-y things. I love this thing. This is great. It's going to show up here. Please don't troll me and insert data into this database while we're doing this presentation. It would make me very sad, but we're going to tear it down at the end of it. So, you know, no big deal. I'm not really worried about those secrets getting out into the wild, although we will actually use GitHub secrets to manage
You have to
that.
be pretty fast to get that down, I would say.
Yeah, pretty fast.
Or just set up to pull things off a stream, you know?
You got to really want it.
Exactly.
It happens while we're doing this. Somebody clearly has it out for me.
Yeah, let's not encourage them anymore.
This is not a challenge. All right, so let's go ahead and get rolling with this. So I'm going to SchemaSmith, which is the repo that I have for this tool. It is a tool that I built in .NET using their system command line. It's really fun. Some of you may be wondering why in the world would I build something on a command line using .NET? And it has absolutely nothing to do with any sponsorships.
Right.
Yummy. So disclaimer, I'm not actually paid. It's just my home base language. So basically you can install this tool and run these. What we're going to do is do with a limited amount of time. I could show all of these commands on the command line locally, but we're basically going to run them in Git actions. The other nice thing is there is a JSON schema for what we're going to define as our schema file for SchemaSmith. The schema file is going to allow us to denote what types of nodes, relationships, properties, constraints, and indexes we want to allow on our database. So what we're going to do is if we open up, we're going to start a new repo so that we have a code base to work with. And then we're going to open up Visual Studio Code, which has a YAML extension, which you can specify which JSON schema you want to use for which type of file that I've set up to point to that URL.
So could you perhaps make it a little bit bigger for the audience? Just
oh yeah,
a little bit.
Too small. We'll get. Tell me when.
I think that is good enough. Yeah.
Excellent. And if we need to do that on the VS Code side, absolutely let me know. We'll get started. So
perfect.
I'm going to go back over here. I am going to look at my repositories. And as promised, we are going to start from ground zero. And we're going to see if we can get some data governance going in under an hour, right? So, ooh, tough challenge. Right. We're already 20 minutes in. That reconnect hurt the time. So exactly. We'll see how this goes.
We'll make something at least.
Okay, whatever. That looks like an available name. I'm going to add a README just because I hate the default blank screen if I don't. And we're going to go ahead and create this repository. We've got the repository, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And then we are going to go over to Visual Studio Code. And we're going to go ahead and clone this down. And I'll go ahead and put it in code. All right. So we're rocking and rolling.
Awesome.
So what we want to do is start defining our schema. So, but before that, I already said that I want to make sure that things don't mess up, but we'll get to that in a minute. This is kind of more fun. It's all fun, but it'll make more sense if we start here. So Neo4j.YAML. Can I spell today? Sometimes I can. And let me make sure I spelled that properly. Yeah, neoschema.yaml. Now what we can see already here is because I've got the YAML extension by Red Hat, and I've said, hey, my Neo schemas and my schemas for YAML, my settings are going to match anything that's .neoschema.yaml. It's already picking up that I'm using this as my schema. So if I start here, I get autocomplete. So I'm going to start creating a graph. The name, since we created the free one, I know the name's going to be Neo4j.
Right.
And then I can start defining things. So let's go ahead and use autocomplete. We're going to define some nodes. The label is going to be Donovan can't type. Also hurts your time if you're trying to speed run this stuff, right? So, but next we're going to define the properties that I want on that. I want a name, ID, and I've got to have a type for that property. And you'll notice that the JSON schema gives us the different data types that are available for a property in Neo4j. So it's pretty convenient.
Oh, that's awesome. So you don't really have to know them by heart.
Correct. Yeah. Pokemons have a name usually.
Do you need a special extension for the autocomplete to work, or?
Yeah. Basically what you do is there's just the general YAML Red Hat extension.
Oh, that's enough. All right.
Yeah, that's enough. And then you're just going into your settings, YAML and YAML schemas, and you can set those up to be whatever you want.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Yeah. And so I've set it up to be this schema. And I am going to go back to the File Explorer here, and we'll go with a type. This should be string, and then we'll do name. We got type of Pokemon, that's important. That'll be a string. And we'll just kind of stop there because we don't really need to define all of these out. We're just trying to show how this works, right? So we got Pokemon and we got trainers, right? And trainers properties, there we go. And it even tells me when I've messed up all my things, which is nice. Name, we'll do ID, same as before, type, integer, and we'll go ahead and give the name, and we'll go type. That should be cool. And then while we're at it, let's go ahead and add a couple of constraints here. Add constraints. Oh, you probably want a relationship, right? Graph databases, they're about relationships.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah. So we're going to do a belongs to. I don't like owns. Belongs to sounds much sweeter.
Belongs to, yeah.
And we're not going to put any connections on it, but we are going to specify that a Pokemon belongs to a trainer, right? And that's more intent, right? Because you can still create relationships in whatever direction, but it's more for communicating intent about how you're going to use this and helps with some of the script generation. So let's go ahead and add a constraint, and we'll say Pokemon ID. Unique constraint, because I think that's the only one we have in the free version.
So is the underscore UQ, is that like name for the constraint, or is it some kind of extra thing you put on to?
It's just a naming convention that I'm using. The type of entity that I'm going to apply this to is a node. So I'm going to apply this constraint to the Pokemon node, and it's going to be on the ID property. Pretty easy, right? And then we'll do the same thing for don't know why it likes to highlight stuff. You know, you don't always understand your tooling, but that's okay. Go to name, and we'll do trainer ID UQ and type unique entity ID trainer. Ooh, no, don't autocomplete that, please. Type node and properties. So this is all pretty good. So what I can actually do, just to show you what we're going to be doing kind of when we release this up into GitHub, is we'll go ahead and say SchemaSmith length. The file is Pokemon schema. Boom, boom, boom. Schema has issues. Index defined for trainer, but no node is defined. Notice it picked up the fact that I tried to create a trainer node, or I tried to create a constraint for a trainer node, but I misspelled it up here as trainer. So this kind of stuff actually notices that. And if you end up using something that is non-standard due to the documentation on Neo4j for your naming conventions, you're actually going to get information about that too. So notice that we've got some issues here because now non-standard is not a camel case or snake case. And also now I'm trying to point to ID, but there's no ID field because I renamed it.
Right.
And so it has a lot of tools to help you make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, right? So what I want to do is if I add this right to my repository and I PR this, I want to make sure that I've linked this PR before I merge it into master. Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add this, get checkout, and we're going to check out a new feature branch here, and we're going to call this initial, right? Boom. Now I've got this, and is this big enough? Do I need to make this bigger?
Yeah, maybe a smudge. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's right.
So that should be good. So I can push this up and start the pull request, but let's go ahead and say, you know what? I like this step here that we did. I want to make sure that I lint every pull request. So let's go hop back over to our repo, and we're going to go ahead and set up a few things. First, we're going to do some settings here. And I said we're going to do some environments. We're going to add in a production environment. So that's going to help us later when we want to go from dev to production. Of course, we only get one free database. It's got a lot of room on it, but we're just going to deploy to the same database twice and pretend one is dev and one is production. But it'll be fine. And let's say you're in a real organization and you want to make sure that people actually, your DBAs, approve of any of these changes that end up going to production before you do it. You're a little more lax about dev, and you want to make sure that wow, this is hard for me to grok sometimes when it's so big. You want to make sure that you're only deploying from main, like you don't just want some rando branch going to production. So we're going to set up these rules to protect ourselves, and that's going to be kind of the basis of what we're doing. We're going to add that rule in. Okay, so now we're doing pretty good, and I've got some setups, some base environments, things of that nature. While we're at it, why don't we go ahead and set up our secrets and variables? So we need to create a new repository secret. You can scope these to your environment, but of course, given the fact that we're just doing everything in one, I'm not really going to do that. And we're just going to go ahead and create the Neo4j username, which we know is Neo4j. Add the secret. And then we're going to do the Neo4j password. We're going to add another repository secret for that. Boom, here we go. And where did my text file go? I think this is the password. We'll find out. I dwelt on that too long. Actually, while we're at it, let's make sure the database is up, right? So we've been talking,
Right.
our database is going. We can go ahead and try to query this guy. And Neo4j, we'll try that password that I just pasted in there. That'll be a good test. And we're connected. So
we're connected. It works.
Yeah, it works. And let's go ahead and just do a little bit of data profiling so you can see that this is indeed new. I am not cheating. Here's some constraints and indexes. They're basically non-existent.
Right.
Don't update. Stop trying to save things. Thank you. Okay. So now I want to go back to actions, and we want to create an action for us when someone does a pull request. So we are going to go ahead, and what we can do here is we know that we're going to need something that can run .NET because you've got to install the tool for SchemaSmith. So this is what's nice about doing all this stuff in GitHub is that it has automated stuff set up. So I've said, hey, I want to do a .NET thing, and it says, I'm good for you. I can set that up. So we'll do this as our PR policy, right? And we'll call this PR policy. Now, when do we want this to run? We want to run this basically on pull request. What that's going to do by default is anytime you open, reopen, or update a pull request,
right,
this piece of code is going to run. Now let's look at what it's doing by scrolling down a little bit because my font is so big. And what's interesting is if I get a little bit smaller, there we go. I think we're going to have to do this so that you guys can see.
I think that's pretty acceptable. Yeah.
So we'll do it at this size. Oof, I'm going to breathe a little bit easier. I'm going to get through this by the end of the hour. All right. So this is going to check out your code, set up .NET, and I don't need it to do the other things, right? But I do need it to say install SchemaSmith, right? And then I want a step that lints. So I don't need these, and I'm definitely not going to run my .NET commands, but we will take that nice command that we got from the repo earlier and paste that in here. So I'm going to install it, and then we'll take the command that we were running earlier in our command line and run it here. Pokemon.neoschema.yaml. Let's make sure. Pokemon.neoschema.yaml. I mean, file names are the bane of demos.
So basically, every time we do a pull request now, you'll be linting your schema to make sure that everything is like working correctly and that you're getting warnings about things like standards and that the schema is compatible. And
yeah,
all right,
yeah. So we'll go ahead and I think we fixed things here. I don't remember, but we're going to go ahead and say, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, looks like I'm missing a lot of stuff. Git commit. You might want to do that, right?
Right.
I always forget to save in Visual Studio Code because I'm used to using IntelliJ or JetBrains based tools, but
I think you can put on autosave as well. It's just
you absolutely can, but part of me just says, no, I'm not going to do it. It wasn't built that way, which is so foolish, but whatever. So we're going to push up that initial feature, which I should put it in a features instead of feature folder. I'm being syntactically correct. So now I can go over to pull requests, and look, I've got something. So we're going to compare and pull request, and I'm going to really get a great comment and describe what I'm doing and create the pull request. So it's going to say everything is checked for a moment, and then it's going to realize there's a gate. So we'll just give it a minute. Now you can see that the PR policy is running, and we can go over here to details and see what's going on. And this is the part where I hope it runs as fast as it normally. It's going fast. Okay. Whew.
I really love that about GitHub Actions. It's like they must be running on some super fast machines.
Yeah. The what was it? Yesterday, schema checks out, so we're good, right? So our PR is good to merge. But we're not done, right? When I merge it, I actually want to deploy it to dev,
Right.
and I want to prompt it to be deployed to production. But I also want a gate so that I, as an approver, have to say it's okay to go to prod.
Setting
So,
up some kind of reviewer or some, you have to actually manually deploy it, right?
yeah, so it'll automatically deploy. It's just waiting for me to say okay,
Right,
right?
right.
So let's go ahead and set up those stages here. And for those of you who may be confused, that's me. For those of you who may be familiar with GitHub Actions, we're going to do things pretty straightforward, easy peasy from a speed standpoint, but there are really great opportunities to use composite actions and reusable workflows. I actually did them for the first version of this, but I think it takes a little too long to walk through. So we're going to do some copy pasta. So that's just what we're going to do. But
Perfect.
yeah, so we'll go to our actions and we can see the history of all the actions that we run. And we're going to go ahead and add a new workflow. And it's going to be cool.
I mean,
go ahead.
pipelines are always cool, man. It's like it's I can never deny a pipeline. I mean, if someone was trying to pick me up, a pipeline would be a great way to start.
That is beautiful. I love that. So we're going to call this build and release.
All right.
Mainly because doing it all here will make it easier for what we're doing. So this is going to be a little bit different. For testing purposes, we can actually do it on workflow dispatch. This means I can kick this off manually if we run into problems and I need to troubleshoot. But mainly, I'd be doing it on the push to main. Push means it's actually going to update main. So when I merge my pull request, it's going to get pushed to main, and then it's going to be released from main. If I did it on closed, it would actually try to release from the branch being merged in, which is not what I want. But I do want to be careful here, and I want to make sure that I am not mistyping anything, number one.
So it's only going to be run when there are changes to that specific file. Is that what you're trying to do? You're
yeah,
right.
I want to make sure that if I'm changing jobs, if I mess something up during this demo, that that I can change the jobs without continually to kick it off. If only I'm updating the Neo schema, that's what I want to do.
Right.
So much like before, we're actually going to. I'm going to go my actions and copy pasta. My favorite. Come here, buddy. I don't want to rewrite this stuff because I'll ruin it and do it wrong. So I still actually, when I'm building this, perhaps I still want to lint it before I build it and push it in case I forgot to set up my build policies and someone pushes it and I don't want it to actually go to prod or dev.
Yeah, it's nice to have, if you're having a complicated merge procedure in front of it and before you push, you might benefit from that as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to lint, and then for the build, basically, I'm going to generate the cipher script from it. So this is the other thing that another thing that the tool does. And if you want to know what the tool does, you can always type the help command. So we'll just go here, clear, and we've got full documented help. So if I say SchemaSmith help, it's going to tell me the different commands, and you can go into those. So you can see we can lint, we can create a script, we can run a script, and we can introspect, which takes an existing database and prints out basically one of the schemas that you see above to get you started.
So that could be a starting point as well. You just do introspection, and you'll have something to start with.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great.
That way, if you already have your database set up, you're not trying to magic all that stuff. So once again, we're going to take the same thing here. So we'll generate this script. And I'm going to output it to a folder. And then the other thing we're going to do, because I want to use this artifact, right? I'm going to want to upload this and then deploy it to 2 different environments.
Right.
What we can do is there's a lot of handy things here, and one of them is usually upload an artifact, but I'm not going to search for it. I'll just copy the one that I already have from a previous example.
Right.
Sometimes I find the wrong one, then I put it in there, and it has. I wanted to show you how good the documentation is when you do it. So let's see if artifact can find it. Yeah. So upload a build artifact. Like if you want to use these, look, they have all the comments on all the options and how you can use them. Then you just copy pasta them in, and you're good to go. So it's really easy to get up and running here pretty quickly. But we're going to go ahead and upload that Cypher script. And that should be pretty cool. What we're going to do now is go ahead and do our deployments, right? We set up the secrets. We set up the environments. So I think we should be okay, right? More or less, right?
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. So we'll do a dev release first. And we're going to do kind of the same. When you go to a new job, you've got to ensure that you have everything that you need to run it. So this is where you might start working with, we'll see if that lines up properly. Build, YAMLs and not being in the right place.
Oh yeah.
It can wreck your day. So this is something where you might end up using like a composite action that you reuse across your things to get set up, right? But we're just kind of going fast and loose here, right? So what I want to do is download that Cypher script, and then I want to run it. So we'll go ahead and do that. And what we'll see here is that I've added the download Cypher script. I have a download thing. I'm going to download it, and then I'm going to run SchemaSmith. I'm going to tell.
So where are you downloading it from?
So basically what happens in GitHub Actions is I've uploaded an artifact.
Oh, you're pulling back the artifact down. All right.
Yeah, and then I'm going to put I'm going to pull it back down to release to quote unquote dev, which by the way, we need to make sure that we actually have the right address and not the address of what I used for practice, right? So basically you can run the script. You give it the file of the Cypher script you want to run. You give it the server URL. And then you give it the username and password. Those secrets we set up, they're now available. So this should run that. Now, when we go to our prod release, it's basically exactly the same, which would be a great candidate for running a reusable workflow where you just pass in some environment variables and stuff to that and gets passed on. But for today, we're going to copy pasta. You'll notice that the important thing here is that my mouse scrolling is out of control. But dev release requires that build has to succeed first.
Right.
Prod release requires that build and dev release have to succeed. And it sets the environment as production. What this is going to do is say, hey, I already said that I want to approve things if it's for part of production when we set up our policies earlier. So this is all I have to do to set up that gate.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and start the commit. We're going to commit the new file.
So a question, you generate that Cypher script, right? From your schemas, and would you be able to run that like with the Neo4j console as well, or is
yes,
it?
You can use whatever you want to run it. It's one of the reasons why I'm publishing it as an artifact, because you may say, I just really want to use SchemaSmith to do this, or I want to look at that script or maybe edit it before it goes in, or I want to run it on a console or something like that. So it'll do all of that. I just added some extra functionality depending on how much you wanted to use or not use the tool.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So now we got the pull request, and what we should see is that, all the checks have passed. So we're going to merge this pull request. Fingers crossed. We're running out of time, so hopefully the demo is with us today. Let's see what happens. Confirm the merge.
I think you got this.
I think we got this.
I'm feeling confident.
My most, we'll go ahead and delete the branch. My most often kerfuffle is missing the URL or the username or the password, or sending in the username as the password. So I get to this point and it's like, you're not authenticated. I'm like, you're not authenticated. Whatever. So let's go to our actions and see. Oh, look at that. We already have a failure.
All right.
I messed it up right. Oh my gosh. Did you see that? I left an old thing in that file. Silly me.
Oh no.
Oh no. But we can fix this pretty quick. We're not in dire straits here. So we'll go to our build and release, and I will be thankful that I set up the branches path and the fact that I can kick it off. So we've already seen that it automatically kicks off.
Right.
We're not going to create a new PR to run it. What we are going to do is get rid of this guy, .NET restore, and it's saying I can't restore anything. You don't have any .NET code.
You have to go to indent. Yeah.
Hit that edit button. There it is. .NET restore. Boom. It wouldn't be a demo if it went all good the entire time. Right? So now I can go to my actions. Okay, this looks good. Build and release. Run the workflow. Let's run this guy. And it should show up here in a second. There we go. Build and release. And we'll wait for it to succeed. That's what it's going to do. So now we have the dev release and the prod release.
Right. I mean, it's 5 seconds longer than last time. So
yeah. So I think we made it past the not restoring. So that's good.
That's good.
Oh, wait. Oh, it finished. I see that. The next one kicked off. I got too excited. We're dev release. Ooh. Ooh. Starting the job. Let's see what happens. And sometimes it updates faster like that.
Yeah.
Run the script. Oh, it's running the script. Look, it's creating nodes. It's creating constraints. And then what it's doing is it's cleaning up the nodes that it actually creates there for you. So if we actually refresh this, at some point, the artifact will go down, but it went ahead and ran it. And so we can see what it runs. It adds the constraint for Pokemon, for trainer. And then it ghosts up a couple nodes, tags them as SchemaSmith, and then removes them. That's because what's running this script has all the permissions to do stuff. And once it exists in the graph, then your app with editor access can now create things. It can now create Pokemon and trainers with these properties, but it can't create new labels and it can't mess up the properties. So that's exactly what we're looking for. So if we go back to our actions and we look at this guy, we notice that production is waiting for review. So I'll go ahead and review the deployments. Production, ship it, YOLO, approve and deploy to prod. And since it's the exact same thing, we shouldn't expect anything different. Like I said, we only get one free instance, so I'm just running the same job to the same thing twice. But back when we were going into our settings, you could set up your own environment-specific variables and your own environment-specific secrets so that you can set up those URLs and secrets specifically to what you're trying to do. So we'll go ahead and make sure that this kicks off well. It's looking cool. Mess something up. How much you want to bet it was?
The connection.
Unable to connect.
Still has the old.
It has the old one in there. All right, we won't fix it for now, but now you can see this is what always trips me up. It happens, happens all the time. But thankfully, we already deployed it because we're doing the same thing twice, right? So now if we check this out, we can see that we've got those index created. It didn't just print out the message. And if I go over here, it now knows that I've got these different labels that have existed and some properties and things of that nature. So now my application is good to go, and I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot, and I'm going to have a good day, and I'm not going to come in Monday with incident reports and things of that nature. So
I mean, that's awesome that you can kind of, run your schema, you can test it against your local database, and then just keep working on modeling, and then just do a PR to your like main project and have everything work as one unit instead.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So that's pretty much it. Any questions from you or the viewers?
I mean, no, I don't have any top of mind. I probably uh, think of something in a second. So you had the relationships there as well. Does it kind of integrate with, like, can you find the relationships in the browser as well after you've kind of run this, or
Sometimes it shows up. I don't know,
right?
it's a little iffy because it comes in and goes out. I've seen this stuff pretty consistently when I'm looking at it with our things which we're running on enterprise. It says it's running in enterprise. That's funny.
Right.
So I guess I could have done more than I thought. Or if he's like, nah, you can't do this. And this is saying I'm enterprise, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Aura runs out of enterprise images because it's set up as a cluster. So
Yeah.
you need enterprise license to be able to even start a cluster, and I think that is one of the reasons.
Very cool.
Right. So that is awesome. I mean, like, do you use this in your day-to-day kind of development cycles as well when you're working on your own projects and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to use it. We have, we do CI/CD stuff where we work.
Oh, I think we lost our guest here. I'm not sure what happened. Let's see if he comes back. But I can tell you, if you built something cool like Donovan here, you can also get featured on our new show that's called Innovation Vertex. That is a part of the GraphStop FM. Now I think we have Donovan back. All right,
Yeah,
welcome back.
stop listening and leave studio. They're right next to each other. So I'm
Right.
just
Yeah, I just took the time to make a little bit of a plug while you dropped out, but
yeah.
happy to have you back. So, how long have you been working on this tool? How long has it existed?
Let's see. I presented it at Graph Connect towards the end of last year.
Right.
And I got my start working on tooling for Neo4j. I built a lightweight ORM for .NET that is very similar to Spring Data for Neo4j.
Right.
And because we were having Java developers come over to .NET, and that seemed like the right thing to do for them and for myself.
Yeah. Make
So
them comfortable, right?
yeah. So I actually, we can go ahead and let me check out SchemaSmith. So I can drop that in chat. If you want to check it out, use it, tell me what's wrong with it and what you want to see from it next. I would love to get the thoughts of people on the call and thoughts of people who are interested. And I don't know if we look at, there's history somewhere. There's so many different, there's like GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure repos. I get confused about what button I'm pressing this time of day.
Yeah, but I think it's fine. So, do you have any? So are you looking for contributors or people to help you out to kind of push
Yeah,
this forward,
absolutely.
or right,
Contributors are just people using it and saying, "I wish it did this."
right.
I love to spend. I love to spend my spare time mountain biking, writing, and writing code. That's what I like to do. So, yeah,
Ride or die.
yeah. So
Ah,
it
that's
looks
awesome.
like, yeah, we got it done sometime around September, probably last year. Linting on
Hmm.
naming conventions, big moves. I have really descriptive bug fixing revving version. That's probably the first time that I released something. So probably October of last year.
All right, all right. Well, big thank you for participating on the stream, and it's been nice to kind of see what you guys have been working on, and yeah,
Cool.
thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Hope you guys
No
have a great
worries.
day.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.